Hello and welcome to a Time special presentation for Thirukkural with the Times, where we explore real-world lessons from the classic Tamil text Thirukkural with motivational speaker, author and diversity champion Bharathi Baskar as she explores the masterpiece. Was Thirukkural written by one person or by many people? The jury is still out. What's not disputable, however, is that there are a certain rhythm and pattern to all the verses. Every succeeding couplet reveals a new layer of the previous one. One peak celebrates the power of speech, the next warns of its consequences. How is this relevant to a certain incident in the recent past? Listen in.
Thirukkural has inspired scholars for centuries. One question that often surfaces is whether it was the work of a single genius or a compilation by several scholars. Historians tell us that the Taj Mahal did not have one architect alone, but a team of nearly 40 architects, craftsmen, and artists from India, Persia, and even Europe, who together conceived its splendor. Could Thirukkural too have emerged from such a collective effort? I find that difficult to believe. It's more likely that Thiruvalluvar stood as the head of a great school of scholars. There may have been discussions and embellishments, but the master craftsman was Thiruvalluvar himself, shaping every chapter with astonishing terseness, poetic rhythm, and intellectual precision. It was he who gave the work its unique architecture. The more I read Thirukkural, the more I marvel at the way the 10 couplets within each chapter are woven together. A weave as gentle as a string of flowers and as strong as the pillars of a bridge. Reading them is like walking from one mountain peak to another. From afar, the peaks appear close together. As you climb, however, you discover deep valleys separating them. Reading one couplet in isolation offers wisdom, but reading all 10 in sequence opens a treasure chest of deeper meanings. Take the chapter on Ookamudamai, which is zeal. Thiruvalluvar first celebrates the person of unwavering determination, comparing him to an elephant that stands undaunted even when pierced by arrows in battle. Just 2 couplets later comes the surprising observation that despite its enormous strength and mighty tusks, the elephant trembles at the attack of a tiger in Kural 599. Why the sudden shift? Is Thiruvalluvar reminding us that even the strongest has limitations? Is he cautioning that zeal, admirable enough it is, should never become reckless? Nature itself has created checks and balances. There is no limitless power. Whether this is exactly what Thiruvalluvar intended or not, the sequence compels us to think. Reading a chapter becomes a treasure hunt. Every couplet is a clue. Every succeeding couplet reveals another layer. An equally fascinating example appears in chapter on Solvanmai, which is eloquence. In Kural 643, Thiruvalluvar says a speech should so captivate the listeners that those present remain spellbound, while those absent regret having missed it. Having shown us one mountain peak, the immense power of words, Thiruvalluvar immediately leads us to the next. If one couplet celebrates how a speaker can mesmerize an audience, the very next reminds us how responsible that speaker must be. Be mindful of the audience. It is your words, he says, that brings you both aram, which is virtue, and porul, which is material success. One peak celebrates the power of speech, the next warns of its consequences. Consider the recent events. A 15-year-old girl hurling abuses at a public rally against the PM, and another controversial remark made at a recent political meeting. Across political parties, speeches at public rallies can often slide into degrading language, encouraged by cheers and applause from the sections of the crowd. A crowd may cheer a witty insult or laugh at a suggestive remark. the temptation to entertain must never become stronger than the responsibility to elevate. It is here that another couplet in the same chapter acquires profound significance. Kural 646. Vetpaththanch solli Pirarsol Payankodal Maatchiyin Maasatraar. The truly accomplished speakers speak what is liked by the audience, but they wisely choose from what people around say. A public speaker is always placed on a stage that stands higher than the audience. That elevation is symbolic. The purpose is not to descend to the level of the loudest cheers, but to lift the audience to a higher plane of thought. Perhaps that is why Thirukkural has endured for over 2000 years. Every couplet is a summit in itself, but only when we traverse all 10 peaks in a chapter do we discover the magnificent mountain range that Valluvar intended us to see.